Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Manojavam Marutatulya Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtham Vatatmajam Vanarayutha Mukhyam Shri Ramadutam Shirasa Namami Pujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam Apadam Apahartaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokabhiramam Shri Ramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham Dakshine Lakshmano Yasya Vame Cha Janakatmajah Purato Marutir Yasya Tam Vande Raghunandanam. We are back to discussing our great hero, Sri Hanumanji. He is swiftly, we say, flying, trying to cover a distance of 100 yojanas, all from one leap over Mount Mahindra. Actually, for Hanumanji, all the things that we discussed, that he was crouching on Mount Mahindra, pressing it down, collecting the required potential energy and the thrust required to jump, all this is not required for him. Yet, Valmiki Rishi is showing us that Hanumanji is doing so we all learn wonderful, wonderful lessons and hold him as a great role model for our own spiritual life. So Sri Hanumanji, who is now in flight, and there are hundreds of analogies and similes and metaphors that describe that flight of Hanumanji. So as he's flying, obviously, anybody in this material world knows that between where we start and where we want to get to, the destination or our goal or objective, the path is paved with challenges. And Hanumanji is no exception to it. In fact, one thing that must be very, very clear is the one should be rid of this misconception that when one takes up to the process of bhakti yoga, or for the matter, any process of yoga, that the path will be a very smooth path. Not at all. Or generally, people think that if you look at their growth chart over time and what one is developing spiritually, most people assume or aspire that that growth chart will be at least a 45-degree line, straight line. And in reality, ask anyone who has practiced bhakti for a few years or any yoga system, it is never a straight line. In fact, if you drill down to that curve, there are every day or very often ups and downs. Because we are practicing bhakti in an environment that is filled with those things that pull one down. So here's the whole big list of the three kleshas. Adhyatmika klesha, disturbances due to one's own body and mind. Adi bhautika klesha, disturbances of being married, being disturbance of someone else's body and mind. And Adi daivika kleshas, that is distresses due to higher order or higher dimensional stuff that we have no control over. It's either too hot, it's too cold. Very sad. There is this earthquake in Turkey and Syria border, and so many thousands of people have either died or been displaced or injured. And there's one can't control over it. Plus, in the process of bhakti, one has to deal with one's own anarthas that pretty much broadly fall in the category of body and mind, but there are so many other disturbances. And so the idea that, oh, things will become very smooth when I take up bhakti, one should let go immediately. What makes the process smoother is not the absence of difficulties, but the internal strength to either transcend or to match or meet the difficulties. Because in the process of bhakti, a person is trying to become dependent on the Lord's grace. And it is that grace that helps. So there's no difficulty. Pick any devotee's life. We'll pick Sita Devi's life. Although she's not devotee the way we say, but we're using her as an example of a jiva. She is the Lord's consort, and the amount of difficulty she goes through. Why is she a shining example? Because under any circumstance, Sita is always sati. She is completely choosing the company of her husband, Sri Ramachandra. Now, Ramachandra is a husband for all of us in one sense. Although we don't necessarily have that bhav because he doesn't accept more than one, but in reality we are all his energies. Lakshmana is not free of difficulties. Bharata is not free of difficulties. Hanumanji definitely is not free of difficulty. The Pandavas are not. Prahlad Maharaj is not. You pick any devotee. Their life is not an easy path. In fact, the life of those who are not devotees are even more difficult because they're constantly slapped by Maya's different manifestations. Because this world is a place of challenge, and Hanuman is flying over the figurative ocean of material existence. Although he doesn't belong to it, he's not free of challenges. But the greatness is he is showing us how he will face these challenges. And sometimes, like this example we're going to talk about, the challenges actually come at us as if they are favorable. And what one needs to estimate oneself for oneself is this actually favorable or unfavorable for us? Because what is going to happen is actually a benefit. But that benefit can also become an obstacle. Just as a detriment can become an obstacle, a benefit may also be an obstacle. And we're going to see that very soon. So in Sundarakanda, as Sri Hanumanji is flying, Valmiki tells us, Tasmin plavagashar dole plavamane Hanumati. This great Hanuman, as he's flying, who's the tiger among all the monkeys, that means one who jump from one place to another. And in his heart, Ikshvaku kula manarthi chintayamasa sagaraha. Suddenly, the demigod of the ocean, whose name is Sagara, had a desire to do some help or offer some help to the lineage of Ikshvaku. Ikshvaku kula mana arthi. With that desire, Chintayamasa, the ocean started to think. And the connection in this verse is, he's saying Ikshvaku kula mana arthi, and the word is Sagara. He didn't say Samudra, Sagara. And that's the connection. Because in the line of King Ikshvaku was a king called Sagara. Sagara's sons, we heard this in detail, dug up the entire world looking for the sacrificial horse, and by their digging, the world was given its oceans, Sagara. So that's called, in the name of Sagara, Sagara. And this ocean felt that he should do something for those persons who benefited him. And so the ocean began to think, if I fail to help Hanuman at this time, a lot of blame will come to me. And the blame is that, and this is an important consideration, that I have been benefited by the race of King Sagara, and they have made me vast and expansive. How is it possible that I do not offer something back in return? And what is he thinking? And embedded in this is, in one's gratitude, is the servant of the servant mood as well. He said, if I don't do anything for Hanuman, who's taken on this very, very impossible task, because he's the minister, Sachiva, of Sri Ramachandra, who's a scion of the Ikshvaku dynasty, I would go down in history as an ungrateful person. So he saw Hanuman was flapping his thighs strongly as he was going through, and there were waves that were rising up high. So Sagara said, I have to make some arrangements for Hanuman to rest for a few moments. Later, he can continue his journey comfortably. So having decided that, the sea god, or Sagara, he said, how can I offer rest to Hanuman? I'm full of water. So on my behalf, I need to be able to offer him a place of rest. And he turned to this very big, massive mountain that was submerged in the ocean by the name Mainaka. And he said to Mainaka, oh, best of mountains, you have been staying here in my waters because of Indra. And the reason you're there is because you're covering the pathway to the netherworlds, the Bilasvargas. And that prevents a whole bunch of demons from great strength, to enter the earthly and higher realms. You're doing fantastic service, mountain. And you have this capacity to grow. You can come upwards from below the surface of water. And I want you, on my behalf, to please offer a resting place for Hanumanji. And in your mind, you should also carry that he is a servant of Ramachandra who belongs to the Ikshvaku dynasty. Those kings in the Ikshvaku dynasty are very worshipable for me and actually for you as well. So please don't miss this chance. And this, he says, that people who have piety in their heart, that means a sense of goodness in their heart, become dissatisfied if an act that is worthy is missed. And people who do not have such goodness in their heart, even if certain acts of worthiness are missed, it doesn't matter to them. So since you are a noble soul, please rise from these waters and offer hospitality to Hanumanji. Please do so. And do it because look at Hanuman. What a service he's offering. He's going to keep up the pride and the honor of the Ikshvaku dynasty. He is the one who is on the service of Maithili, Sita Devi. And he is the Lord of the monkeys. So please, Mainaka, rise up. When Mainaka heard this, he rose above the water and his golden peak was shining. And interestingly, the mountain was covered with wonderful trees and creepers. And the way he rose out of the ocean, it was like the rising sun. If you've ever seen sunrise, I know some of my friends, they have homes right on the lake, and every morning they have the great chance to see the sun rising. So he says the glowing sun was rising through the veil of the dark clouds. Beautiful poetry. And just as this mountain was coming up and up, it was shining in its golden color. And he was glittering as if 1,000 suns had risen. So when Hanuman saw this mountain rising, for a moment, he said, what is this impediment? Is this a friend or an enemy? Is this someone who's coming to attack me? And in that moment of his speed, he went and crashed against that mountain. And he struck the mountain with his chest like winds would strike a cloud, and we hear thunder. And when the mountain got Hanuman's crash on him, the mountain started roaring with joy because a great, great personality touched him. And Valmiki says that the mountain roared in a high pitch. And suddenly, that the personality of that mountain appeared in a human form and was standing on the peak of that mountain. His heart was overjoyed. He was so happy. And he addressed Hanumanji, "Oh, best of the Vanaras, what you have done or what you are doing is something that is impossible for anybody. I would request you to please stop and rest on my peak for a little while. And then you can continue your journey." And this is not just my request. This great Sagara was benefited by Sri Ramachandra's family. And so it is appropriate that he, the Sagara, honors you who are on the way to serve Sri Ramachandra. Because offering service to the servant of the servant, to the servant of the Supreme Lord, makes the Lord far more joyful than direct service. And then the mountain offers a principle. This principle is very important to remember. And he says that this kind of principle has been within this world for the longest time. And the verse is verse number 114. And I will post it on our WhatsApp group very soon. Krite cha pratikartavyam esha dharma sanatanaha. So I am tvat pratikararthi tvat tataha sammana arhati. Sammana arhati. You deserve great respect and honor. Why? Because krite cha pratikartavyam. Now let's break it down. Sanskrit is not that difficult. The grammar is difficult. But Valmiki Ramayana Sanskrit is very simple, short sentences. And these are words by Prabhupada's grace we're all familiar with. Okay, krite. Krite means that which has been done, a benefit that I have received. Cha pratikartavyam, and that benefit has to be reciprocated or repaid back. Esha dharma, such is the dharma of a human being. And it is not a new principle, sanatana. This has been there since time immemorial. That is, if I have benefited by someone else's favor upon me, then it is very, very critical. It's important. It's imperative that I repay that. A good deed is repaid by a good deed. A bad deed is repaid by a good deed. Krite cha pratikartavyam esha dharma sanatanaha. It's a principle. Why is he quoting a principle? Because Hanumanji is extremely dharmic, number one. Second, Hanuman is very, very knowledgeable. He's a pandita and he follows dharmic principles. So this person is saying, I'm not just saying out of something, I'm saying this out of a spiritual, a religious, a moral, ethical principle that one must try and repay the favor they have received. And the ocean prompted me because he has great regard for you. Rest for a while. And then you can continue the rest of your journey of 100 yojanas. And the Sagara told me, let him rest on your peak. And then he can cover the rest of the distance. I have great fruits and roots to offer you. They're very, very tasty. So please rest a while. In fact, Hanumanji, it's not just Sagara wanting to offer a favor back to Ramachandra. You and I also have a connection. And the connection is back in Satya Yuga, mountains had wings. And we could just rise into the sky, fly wherever we wanted, and just land wherever we liked. But what we didn't understand is that by such activity, we were destroying lands, farmlands, rivers, people, animals, because they will all get crushed under us. You know, when an elephant walks, he's not able to see that under his foot, if a frog is dying or grass is getting crushed or bugs are getting crushed, he can't see. So these mountains were flying here and there and crushing, and Indra was appeased by the people that please do something. We don't know when, what mountain will land on us. And so Indra took his thunderbolt and started cutting off all the wings of the mountains and made them stationary. Indra's eye fell on Mainaka as well. But Mainaka and Vayu were great friends. So Vayu wanted to help Mainaka, and so by the strength of winds, blew away Mainaka towards the ocean and made him go underwater so Indra cannot cut off his wings. And when Indra was pursuing Mainaka and he saw him go into the ocean, and then he saw that Mainaka had landed in the ocean where he started to cover the pathway from the Bilaswarga, the nether worlds, to come for demons and to come onto earth and other places. He said, "Right, that's good. Let him stay there." And he forgave him. So I am a great, great recipient of the mercy of Vayu and your Vayu Putra. I want to offer back my gratitude. And then he says another wonderful principle. Atithihi kila pujarha prakruto api vijanataha dharmam jijigyasamenaha kim punastvaadarsho mahan. Atithi kila. A guest Atiti literally means one who arrives without notice. But it's understood as any guest who arrives at your home. Pujarha is worshipable. He or she is worshipable. But what kind of guest? One may say, oh, the such and such guest, very elevated guest is worshipable. But some ordinary fellow, no. Prakrito api, even if they are very young in their scholarship, even if they are not very well educated, anybody, prakrito api. So it is known, vijanataha, that they are worthy of worship. You should not see their caste, you should not see their gender, their education, you don't see their wealth, you don't see any of them. If they are at your doorstep, they deserve to be served. And he says, dharma, vijanatah dharma. This is the principles by which one should live. But if that is true for an ordinary person, kim punar, then what to speak of Twadridasho, someone like you who we have got to see. Mahan, great personality. If great worship has to be offered to someone very ordinary, how much more for someone great like you, Hanumanji? And you are also the son of Vayudev. And you are equal to him in speed and strength and capacity. So when I worship you, please know that I'm worshipping Vayudeva. So you're very worthy. So please listen. Please stop on my mountain peak. Please oblige us by accepting our offering that we are giving you with love. And please be relieved of any fatigue that you may have. I'm so glad to welcome you. Eva muktaha kapi sreshtan nagotam abravit. Okay, so then when Hanumanji heard this, he said, Naga Uttama Abravit, the best of the elephant-like personalities. He responded, Pritosmi, Kritam Atithyam, Manyur Esha Apaniyatam. Three things he said. Pritasmi, I'm very pleased. Kritam Atithyam, and you have offered me hospitality. Now, Manyur Esha Apaniyatam, please let go of any unhappiness or dissatisfaction that I am not waiting on your peak. But I'm very, very happy to receive your hospitality. Thank you. I receive your words. Sometimes people may not be able to accept. Let's turn it this way. Let's make it first person. Sometimes we may not be able to accept someone's hospitality for whatever reason. But the fact that they even uttered words of hospitality must be taken as valuable as the act itself. So Hanumanji said, Pritosmi. Kritam, I accept your hospitality. Thank you. But then he's going to offer his reason why he cannot wait. Tvarate karya kalo me. Tvarate, I am in a rush. Karya kala, the time that I have to finish what I need is soon approaching, because Hanuman has to enter Lanka before the night ends, or the day ends, and the night begins, because at night the Rakshasas become very strong. So he says, Me ahascha apatya ativartate. The day is going to end. Aha is the day. Pratigya cha maya datta. I have made a promise to Sugriva, to Sri Ramachandra. Na sthavyam ihantare. And there means I cannot take rest. I cannot stop my work in the middle, because I've made a commitment. I've made a promise. I've made a vow. This is amazing. Hanumanji is teaching for a sadhaka that one, how to fulfill one's vows, that there is no rest. No rest means one doesn't slacken. Now, this is very high bar. When I'm speaking, I'm not speaking like Hanuman, I'm just repeating his words. One doesn't take it easy. And here he's saying, I have made a promise. I have an objective to finish my task, the promise I made before the day ends. So I'm not able to stop. Ityuktva panina shilamalabhya haripungavaha. Saying this, Hanuman shila alambhya. Shilam alabhya. Yeah, he just touched the mountain gently with his hand. Panina. Jagama akasham avishya viryavan prahasan eva. And Hanuman prahasan, with a smile on his face, went back up into the sky. Gently touched the mountain, because the request was, please stop and take rest. So Hanuman touched the mountain as a way of saying, I've touched you and I have rested. That is all. I've accepted your hospitality. And with a smile, went back into the sky. And the mountain and the sea both felt very, very honored. Hanumanji touched me. What a great honor. And the ocean became delighted because Hanuman touched Mainaka and Mainaka was touching the ocean. Just that little tiny contact with Hanumanji made both the mountain and the ocean delighted. They were in ecstasy. That is the joy of coming in contact with a pure devotee, because they are carrying this shining bhakti in their heart. Even if we didn't come in contact with them directly, coming in contact with someone they contacted itself is ecstatic. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling through South India, throngs of crowds were waiting to see him. And anyone who even didn't see him was dancing and jumping in ecstasy, chanting Hare Krishna, because they touched or saw someone who saw someone, or touched someone who saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That was his influence. We are all very, very fortunate that amongst us great Vaishnavas are traveling the world and we get to meet them directly, or someone who's met them. How fortunate. And what to speak of even a touch or tug or tap that we may get from such a great devotee. And even if we don't get their sound that emanates from their heart, comes to their mouth and clashes against the eardrums of people like us, how much honor there is to hear from a pure devotee. And this act of Hanuman was glorified by all the sages, the siddhas, charanas, and everyone else who had arrived in the sky to see what Hanuman does. Is he really a wonderful servant? Is he going to take rest? Is he going to slow down, enjoy the fruits that are coming because of Vayu and Ikshvaku Kula? Or is he going to continue on his service? And when this happened and all the celestial beings in the sky were glorifying Hanuman, Indra also showed up in the sky. Now, suddenly one might consider that Mainaka will become threatened, because Indra, who's always carrying his thunderbolt weapon, and Mainaka, who did not get his wings cut off, Indra looked at Mainaka and said, O Hiranyanabha, O golden-naveled one, the best among mountains, I am highly pleased with you. I am promising you security that I will not cut off your wings or I will not attack you. In fact, you are a very, very great personality. Please happily stay in that ocean. Why? You have rendered excellent service to Hanumanji, who was trying to cover a distance of 100 yojanas. He's fearless. Even when there is all reason of fear that he may fall into the ocean, something else, but he's fearless and you have offered him service. That Vanara has gone to serve the son of Dasharatha. And I'm very pleased with what service you have offered him. And so Mainaka became very delighted to see Indra, who previously was hiding in the ocean so that he cannot see Indra and Indra won't see him. And satisfied Indra. And then Valmiki says, and Hanuman crossed the ocean in a short while. It was not short yet. More coming up. So let's look at some lessons that are important from just this one pastime. Among the obstacles that one may face on the path of bhakti or a spiritual path or a path of yoga, not all difficulties or challenges or obstacles are of the same category. This particular obstacle is an obstacle in Sattva Guna. No one attacked Hanuman. No one challenged Hanuman. In fact, Mount Mainaka and the Samudra came to offer some rest, some food, relaxation. These are obstacles coming through Sattva Guna. Now, even if Hanuman had accepted some rest, in history, he wouldn't go down as, oh, he took some rest. But what we are taught by Hanumanji is to be able to discern that what may actually look like favorable may not be favorable in the path of bhakti. So every devotee must be able to discern what is favorable and what is unfavorable. Because only on that basis can one accept or reject, because that is a principle of Sharanagati. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam. One should not take things that are not favorable for bhakti, for the surrender. Now one may say, if Hanuman took rest, would his surrender be challenged? The answer is, in the sense that complacency will set in. Hanuman could say, oh, I would pause for 2 minutes. And 2 minutes may become 2 more minutes, 4 minutes, 5 more minutes. How many of us can look into our own lives? I know I can, and say, oh, I have some service to do. I look at my clock right now. Let's say it's 9:09, 9:15. I will start. 9:15 may become 9:17, 9:20. I'll say 9:30. Somehow starting something or moving from one to another, we wait for the clock to have some specific time cuts. 9:19 is not 9:30. You see how complacency can set in a way that actually withers down one's enthusiasm. It withers down one from being tivrena bhakti. That the intensity of being focused in service gets lost. 2 more minutes, 5 more minutes, like that. So that's one. Second lesson is being a servant of the servant is showing up everywhere in the Ramayana. That we render service as gratitude to the Supreme Lord, not always directly to the Lord, but more importantly to the servants of the Lord. And a grahastha, ideally, for that matter, anyone, but a grahastha must offer hospitality to other people, not high class this or but to anybody. It's important dharma. That's the third lesson. Fourth lesson is of gratitude, that one should remember how one is a product of the gestures of grace by other people. We haven't reached this phase of life without the grace of many, many persons. It's not possible. There's nobody in this world who can say, I'm here and not one person did anything for me. It's not possible at all. And so a heart of a person is, the richness of the heart of a person is to find meaning and how every person's gesture has somehow or the other helped us. Even those who did not do good to us, they have helped us. They have helped us learn a good lesson. They have helped us become more determined in something else. They have helped us understand the value of something or of people. So somehow or the other, they have helped us, whether they did good or not. And so some gratitude is necessary. And not just some gratitude, the idea of developing that gratitude even more. Sagara got benefit from King Sagara millions of years ago. But he got this moment that, oh, Ramachandra, who belongs to Ikshvaku dynasty, I should help. I should do some service because I was benefited by them. Mainaka, Vayu helped me. I need to help Vayu's son. That's another lesson. Then another lesson is to receive someone, if they are offering something, to not reject it. Hanuman did not reject hospitality of Mainaka. He said, Pritosmi, Kritam Atithyam. I'm so happy that you offered me. I'm pleased, because an Atithi has to say Pritosmi. If a guest does not say I am pleased, then that activity of receiving or that activity of hospitality is either incomplete or unsuccessful. That is why Hanumanji says Pritosmi. That means for Sagara and Mainaka, their hospitality has been accomplished. Kritam Atithyam, you have offered. But Hanuman did not say, no time for you. He said, I have made a promise. But how did he accept the hospitality? By touching the mountain. So it's important to express, I am very, very happy by your gesture of hospitality. I have some limitations at this point, but I accept your, accepting is very important. At least the words of accepting, Pritosmi, Kritam Atithyam. And then another lesson is, when there are two parties that are, let's say, feeling some animosity between the two, then a third person who is actually recognized as a genuine servant of the Supreme Lord, Sri Ramachandra, their presence actually removes animosity between the two. Why? Because in his heart, he is carrying Ramachandra's service. Ramartham, Vanarartham. We've been saying this for 3 weeks now. And because Hanuman was there, because Sagara and particularly Mainaka offered service to Hanuman, who was also going to benefit the demigods, that animosity went away. Because both Indra and the demigods and Mainaka wanted to serve Hanuman. That is the power. And this principle, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also demonstrated in the forest of Jarikanda by chanting the holy name. Animals that would usually be a predator and one that is a prey actually got together and danced and sang in ecstasy. So animosity or the sense of something, prejudice, enmity, grudge, can all be removed by serving a genuine representative of the Supreme Lord, whose only purpose is carrying out service. So how does my heart get relieved of these smelly, sticky, dirty stuff? Shushusho Shraddadhanasya Vasudeva Katharuchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipraha Punyatirtha Nishevanat. The Bhagavatam tells us, Shushushaya, by offering some service. And the fact that they are pleased is the greatest joy for Mainaka. Hanuman saying Pritosmi. Wow. Both Mainaka and Sagara felt that their existence has been completely successful. The reason that they're there has become successful. Now, Mainaka was there out of a great difficulty with Indra. He took that difficult situation, living under the ocean, in hiding in fear. He took that situation and turned it into a great opportunity for service. So that's another lesson. That to offer service, one doesn't always think of, it has to be favorable this way or favorable that way. The very fact that whatever situation one is in, if the service attitude is in one's heart, then that difficulty can also become an opportunity. And final lesson is, Mainaka did not think about offering service. Sagara thought. But Sagara could not offer some seva, but it was in his mind, right? The service attitude was in his mind. So he inspired Mainaka to render service on his behalf. So sometimes it may not be possible for a person to render some service to someone they feel grateful to, but they can inspire a third person to say, can you do this favor for me? Because I feel very grateful. Praner dhier, praner vacher dhier, praner arther dhier vacha. Whatever is one's at that time a possibility, a facility, an asset, use that to serve great personalities. So that's where we'll pause for today and see if there are any comments, questions, concerns.
Hare Krishna.
Asked me, was Mainaka's wings wet? Mainaka was under ocean. So what were the fruits were all wet? The leaves were all wet, or was the wood water logged? Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is Kirti. The class is very nice, Prabhuji. The lessons from the interaction of Hanuman with Mainaka. This reminded me of Uddhava also accepting the seat that was given by Kubja. Yeah, he just touched it and sat down. That reminded me of that exchange. The question I have is, Sagara was feeling he wanted to reciprocate to the service offered by the Ikshvaku dynasty. So that's why he asked Mainaka to do it on his behalf. But what I was thinking was, when Lord Ramachandra wanted to cross the ocean and he was meditating for a certain number of days, Sagara did not manifest for 3 days, whatever number of days. How do we understand that?
We understand that by waiting for the end of Sundara Kanda and the beginning of Yuddha Kanda. But a quick answer is Sagara did not propitiate, did not offer, because there is a problem there. Sri Ramachandra took a lower position, and the Acharya says that became Sharanagata to the ocean. The Sharanagata cannot give shelter to Ramachandra, so he had to wait. He has to be ordered to serve, not requested. A servant wants to be ordered. And if we came, this shows that Sharanagati, when we talk about principles of Sharanagati some other time, and I'll say it quickly, Sharanagati requires at least three things. One, that the person should offer or surrender to another person. Second, the process of surrendering. And the third is the other person must be capable of offering shelter. Sagara is not capable of offering shelter to Ramachandra. It's the other way around. So that Sharanagati is unsuccessful.
Thank you.
And then when Ramachandra ordered, he came up. And there is other, according to Vedanta Deshika, when Ramachandra was glaring at the ocean, it began to boil, but it did not evaporate, because in that ocean are the waters that had washed the Paduka. So nothing happened to Sagara. That's another reason he gives. A third reason, although Sagara did not come, and Ramachandra said to Lakshmana, bring my bow and arrows. And in the entire Ramayana, it is Lakshmana who's always on the edge, ready to burn, completely annihilate anything and everything. But when Ramachandra said, bring my bow and arrow, he did not do it. He was slow to doing it. Why? Because Sagara is the father of the goddess of fortune. It is father-in-law. That's one reason. And so Hanuman is also a servant of the Supreme Lord. So Lakshmana will not rush to put another servant into distress. So he slowed down. But in all of this, Sagara waited because the Sharanagati is not proper. It should be the other way around.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So tomorrow, if the spiritual master requests something, don't wait to say, oh, you have to be ordered. But you get the principle that he felt, oh, how can I give shelter to Sri Ramachandra? Okay, anything else? Anyone want to share a reflection or comment or add more that I may have missed?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my lower senses. All glories to Guru Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for wonderful class. I have a question, Prabhuji. We hear that man is as good as his words, but sometimes, like when I commit or do say something, but not able to do it timely, like sometimes due to procrastinations, take more time or just defer them for the future or so. So how to overcome that tendency and how to do the service timely and effectively, and what principles we can take up. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Well, if it tells, we all learn from our actions or lack of. So one thing we can learn is maybe I overcommit. So I'm cautious of what I commit to. I learn to do less but do them better, and then with that gain strength of committing and fulfilling the commitment. That's one. Second would be to repair that. If there was a commitment or saying and it did not accomplish, then there's a way of repairing it by apologizing and then making right, doing good on it. But if we are caught in the, let's say, every time I commit and I only apologize and I don't do it properly, then my trustworthiness gets eroded. People say, oh, he says, but really is not reliable. So it depends on what lesson one is learning and what lesson that will help us become people with stronger characters. I'm not talking of you as weak character or anything. That's not my point, but we're talking of strengthening our character. I've noticed that we human beings generally, we all have the tendency to think only in binary. So if one says, oh, to build strength of character, then the first thing is I don't have any character. No, it just means I always add and build more units of strength. So recognizing, learning some lessons and doing good on them. And in future, commit only to things that you know you can do. I hope that satisfies you, Prabhu.
Ji, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All right. Anything else? Final words?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I was just wanting to share my reflection as you were sharing the nitty-gritty nuances of like wanting to reciprocate back when one receives a favor, and then wanting to like always like the Sagarai's feeling to like offer some service because he received a favor at one point in time, or his ancestors received a favor at one point in time. It was just like, meaning, although for me it felt like far off, but then I could appreciate in the lives of those that I see follow these etiquettes. I was able to appreciate the place and the character from where they are coming, and then hoping to take small steps in that direction. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Nice. All right. By discussing these wonderful, as Stira said, nuances, by the small gestures of great personalities like Hanuman, Mainaka, Sagara, we learn how rich human character is. We learn how rich a person becomes as a devotee, as a bhakta or a bhaktin. Because these are all dimensions or shades or facets of being a servant. And the shining example of Dasya is Sri Hanumanji, who is, like I said again and again, and I'll continue saying it again and again, our hero. He is very, very, very confidential servant of Sri Ramachandra. And he's confidential servant of Ramachandra because in his heart, he genuinely carries the desire to serve Sri Ramachandra, but he does not neglect Sugriva and others. Everybody. We will see again and again and again how Hanumanji puts life into people. just by being who he is and by reciting Ram Katha. So whenever there is any distress, whenever there is any challenge, whenever there is any difficulty, whenever there is any disaster, both internal or whatever, it is Sri Rama Katha that brings life. It provides prana. And he is the expansion of prana. Vayudeva, he is the one who gives life. So Hanuman gives our spiritual life its life by Sri Ram Katha. And so for that, we are extremely indebted to him. We're extremely indebted to Valmiki. We're extremely indebted to the great acharyas who have spent their lifetimes in writing copious volumes. And they were not writing or typing very quickly, easily on electronic medium. They were writing by drying leaves and then writing with an iron stencil and carefully preserving them and speaking to their disciples in parampara so that for thousands and thousands of years later we can benefit. So everybody is contributing. People that we see, people that we cannot see, people that we don't know, people we have never heard about. Generations before, the great sages have kept vows of celibacy without eating, without sleeping, and dedicated their lives for benefiting little tiny struggling jivas like us. So we're very, very grateful that Hanumanji took that jump, and we aspire to become servants of Sri Sita and Ramachandra and all of their associates. Sri Sri Sitaram Lakshman Hanumanji ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.